Hello, everybody, to podcast 178. As a very nice, gentle introduction for
what
a
was
Sunday
that all
afternoon.
about, mate?
You know what? We're very energetic most weeks, aren't we? So I thought Sunday, because it's Wednesday, we're recording the
Speak
podcast.
for yourself,
it's Sunday,
energetic.
people are chilled. Don't want to hear a nice, chilled, relaxing podcast. How have you been, Barry?
Okay.
You okay? You
Started
feeling
my
okay?
diet. Beginning
Started
of the
your
week.
diet.
Feeling a little bit.
You've overdone it on the triceps, haven't you?
Overdone it. Ripped my muscles.
You've ripped your muscles more than you should have. Yeah.
I wish I was ripped.
You feeling a bit tender?
I'm very.
Yeah, okay. So, today's podcast, unfortunately, we are not live on YouTube because the Mevo that we use a special little device called a Mevo Boost, and it has had a battery failure. So, everyone that normally watches live on YouTube, hopefully they'll be listening this week. It's on Sunday, and we can only apologise more technical hardware failures. But the podcast goes on. But do you know what? We've had a technical... What's the opposite of failure? What's the opposite of failure, Eric?
Success.
Way, it's Eric from Garden Culture
I've got
Magazine.
2 ears in me here now, haven't I? I've got Eric in one ear, Steve in the other ear.
Barry, I love you. I don't understand a word you're saying, but you're the best.
So for everybody listening, this week's podcast, 178, is a garden culture review. As we do, there's now 6 editions a year now for the UK garden culture. So every couple of months, we do a review of the magazine. And for those that don't have the time or just don't enjoy reading in general, then we've got your backs. We have got you covered. We are doing a review of all the articles. And we thought we'd take it up a notch. We've moved up in the world. We're now doing... Eric's in Canada. Whereabouts in Canada are you, Eric?
In Quebec, just about an hour north of Montreal.
Ooh, is it cold or is it hot?
That's nice today. It's going to be 23.
Oh, that's all right, actually.
Sunny?
Canada gets the best of both worlds. In the winter, it does enough snow so you can go skiing. And Eric constantly is building snow forts. And in the summer, it's like it's roasting. You get a nice tan in there, can't you? So, Coatsy, we're going to go to intro, and then we'll be back with a garden culture review. It's all about fungi, life under the surface.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, God, for everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Barry built a beer in the house that I built, in the booth that I built.
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast. NPK.
You've been like this all day. It's all that protein you've been eating, Barry. Boom, boom, it's a gun show. What do you call your biceps? You got names for your biceps? What do you call your biceps?
Swans.
Swans. Nice swan.
Nice one.
Dick. Right.
It's tricep here in the morning.
Don't get that one.
You weren't meant to. It was a gym joke.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're
Sounds
not
like a
in the gym,
dinosaur joke, mate. Because
Yeah.
you're a dinosaur.
Yeah,
Triceratops.
What?
One of them.
Shut up.
Right, it's podcast 178. We're on a garden culture review with a special guest, but he's not in the country. Phone interview, first of its kind on our podcast. So you are being treated this week with Eric from Garden Culture. So first of all, before we get to the intro, we have to give thanks
To the partners
above. Take us away, Barry.
Big shout out to SANlight, who have got my car keys on their lanyard, and it's
SANlight
fantastic.
lanyard.
And it's been around my neck for weeks. I think I need to put it in the wash. It's my favourite one.
It's minty.
Yes.
No, SANlight LEDs, awesome. Can filters,
Erwin.
extraction.
I have to say it. When
Erwin.
someone says cam filters, I've got to say
Erwin. Well, I'm actually seen him at the weekend. He'll be gutted. The hydroponics.
I'm coming.
You're not.
I'm coming.
You're not.
Coming.
You know, I've told you Ali can come now.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah.
So we will see Erwin from Can Filters.
Yeah, man.
AutoPot watering systems, they will be there at the Holland Hydro Fest. It's all going off next weekend.
CANNA,
they will be there.
they will be there.
The complete nutrient line for your plants. Organic and mineral fertilization.
Don't ever do that again.
I will. I'm going to do it every week now because I know I don't know.
Revolution.
Micro.
Electronics.
Oh,
there's a Diva.
He's getting there with the Diva Light.
The Diva Light.
So they
Little
are...
Diva.
They are a little diva, aren't they? Yeah. So they are our 5 sponsors: AutoPot, CANNA, Can Filters, SANlight, and Revolution Microelectronics. Thank you very much for our partners to allowing this podcast. And let's get into the podcast. Let's go. Eric is with us from Garden Culture Magazine, the owner, the editor, the supremo. We speak to him all the time, and I hope you're going to be as chatty today as you are when we're talking on the phone for hours at a time.
Yeah, perhaps.
So, Eric, let's get straight into it. We've got you in for this podcast, one, because you are our guinea pig for phone interviews, and also because we need a little bit of help with this edition, because me and Barry are reading it today, and this edition is quite information heavy. And it took, to be fair, I started reading it 3 days ago, and then I just had a general glance over it. I started reading it properly last night, and I've literally spent most of the day properly taking it all in. Barry's been focusing on the diet articles this edition, because
This week.
Barry started his diet and his training.
There's 2 good ones in here that I enjoyed. Though.
Yeah.
I've read them, but I've only just scattered through them. I haven't
You haven't gone in deep.
I haven't gone in
researching
deep.
all the words.
It is a bit deep when I'm reading it. My head's blown off.
Yeah. So good articles all round on this edition, but they've gone in, Eric. They're quite technical. What do you think?
Technical.
Lots of good writing.
I try to make as technical as I can make it, as long as people understand it, because indoor gardening or organic gardening, it's all quite technical.
Yeah.
And like a lot of technical things are hard until you get it, and then once you get it, it's like a bike, you know? No. So we try to explain it to people, real information.
Yeah.
What the best I can figure, or my writers can figure, you know? And hopefully it's technical, and hopefully everyone gets it. Yeah. You know, that's the whole point, is to make people be better gardeners, or at least more informed gardeners.
Definitely. So we're going to go on to the first article by Nico Hill, which is hemp farming. And interestingly, there's quite a bit of hemp farming going on in the UK. So Nico went to see a hemp farm. I'm going to try and scan down, because I read this article before I had my trusty highlighter. So I'm going to try and scowl through. And he went to, where did he go? East Yorkshire. He went on a journey to East Yorkshire to go on a hemp farm there. And basically what he found is that they do farming quite a bit differently. Yeah. So rather than taking the plant to full flower and harvesting, like most people in countries where it is legal will do, they actually chop down in about is it right, the 4th week of flower, Eric?
I mean, I'm not, according to the article, and there's different farmers will do it differently, specifically depending on what cultivar of hemp they're growing. So here in Canada, and I'm friends with one of these guys. He's an amazing guy, and him and his partner are both PhD biologists, and one of the geneticists. So they are, you know, sounds scary, but they're genetically playing with the plant to guarantee that they can run it right to the end and won't have to worry about too high levels or whatever, even though they're allowed to have those levels.
Yeah.
So they want only CBD. They're going to grow anyway. So yes, it happens that they have to harvest early in countries because they can't risk for that plant to take on, get a higher THC level, because they're going to have the whole thing thrown away. You know?
Yeah, so, that's interesting.
If they're harvesting it for oil, if they're harvesting it for fiber, it's irrelevant, because they're not. All of the cannabinoids get thrown in the garbage.
Yeah. So I think this hemp farm is doing mostly for fiber, weren't they? And he
fiber
off, he starts off the article quite interesting. Hemp for victory. And he spent a lot of money on propaganda. You can see it around the means even these days. And it was a legal requirement of the Crown if you owned a certain amount of land. Henry VIII was massive into his hemp farms as a primary resource for everything that we used in the UK. Hemp being such an amazing fibre that Barry, you've got a hoodlum coat, haven't you? Made out of entirely hemp. When was the last time you wore it? And tell people why.
It's hot. It's fucking hot, and it weighs the same as me. I'm on a diet.
Yeah, I have one too.
Oh, mate, they're heavy.
So Eric, you probably get really good use out of yours being in a country that's consistently minus 18.
I've worn it so much. Yeah, I've worn it so much. I embarrass Celia when I wear it now because it's so warm. But like Barry said, when I throw it in the washing machine, and the inside comes soft like the day I bought it. The outside, I look like a bum. Like it's come apart, you know? But it's still soft and warm, and like it weighs a ton. Like when you put it on, you know you have a jacket on.
It takes up half the wardrobe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can't find a hanger strong enough to hang it on.
The point, it makes amazing fibers, and they're very resistant. Obviously, all the old boat string and boat sails were made out of it for a reason.
Yet
back in the day,
hemp's resistant to salt erosion.
Is it?
Yeah. So the ropes that are used today, they're constantly changing them because they get eroded down with the
back
salt
in the
water.
day on boats and that's what they'd use.
Yeah, because it stayed stronger than normal rope. And it's also one of the main reasons why it's just so confusing why they ever changed to cotton.
Yeah, and we just want to write about hemp. You know, I think that the bottom line is this plant, regardless of how you feel about it legally, or even as a writer or someone who makes a magazine, it is the most interesting plant on the planet. You know, forget about cannabinoids and medicine, which make it even more amazing, but just the plant for what it can do. So again, we want to write about it. We want to cover what's going on in the UK, specifically in Europe. In the North American editions, we'll do the same thing, but it'll have to do with North America, you know?
Yeah.
It's something to keep your eye on going forward. And when you look at fibers and the cotton industry, not polluting the cotton industry is, and you know, bees and all these issues that are global issues, and that this, you know,
it's just madness. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, this little plants, you know, that the world has been trying to push away for so long.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm
wrong.
wrong.
I mean, it's not going to save everything. It's good. You know, so we're going to continue talking about it. My point.
Yeah. You know, the fashion industry. I've heard that the fashion industry, and I'm including cotton, obviously cotton clothing, and that is one of the most. Is the biggest industry. Fashion and the clothing industry is one of the biggest, is having the biggest impact on the planet today in terms of global warming and that sort of stuff. Even I don't know if it's maybe the biggest.
It's a bad one.
It's bigger than, but I've heard, I'm not 100% on this, but I've heard that the clothing industry, the fashion industry is having a bigger impact on the planet than even oil is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's horrible. Yeah. That's for sure. I saw a documentary recently about dyes in India and the water pollution problem in India with the dyeing, and it is like your mouth falls open. You're like, what year is it? How could that happen? It's so bad. It's not a little bit bad, you know? So again, all these issues tie back with the magazine, because obviously it's a growing magazine and we're trying to help people be better gardeners. So why would we talk about hemp? Well, like I said, it's a world issue. It's not about the plant. It's not about, you know, that it has medicine or that it makes fiber or that you can grow with less pesticides. And it's all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it's just a very interesting plant. And
super interesting.
We're going to keep talking about it. Yeah.
Definitely. And another point that I just wanted to bring up that was mentioned in this article that I thought was very good is that in the UK, the attitude to the legality of it is interesting. Basically, Nico goes on to say that Victoria Atkins, who's an MP, is the Home Office Minister for Crime, enforces the government's line that there is no medicinal benefit to cannabis and staunchly enforces laws to that effect. However, her husband, Paul Kenwood, happens to be the managing director of British Sugar, which is the same company that got a license to produce and export cannabis for medicinal use, to the point that in the UK is now the largest exporter in the world of cannabis-related products. So it's just interesting about the
hypocrisy.
Yeah, the two-facedness of it all. It's good for some and not good enough for others. Yeah. A good article and a good one to raise the issue of hemp and its benefits.
Do you know what I seen in it though?
Yeah, go on.
I was a bit mad. Where is it? It's saying that have you ever heard of this with hemp? That they cut it down and leave it where it's being grown to rest.
Yeah, actually,
to break down.
Yeah,
I
think because I read this article.
I was like a bit
it was
mad.
retting, I think it was called.
Was it
and
retting?
Yeah, it lets the plant start the first stage of composting because the plant is very strong and durable.
Yeah.
And to make it more pliable, they leave it in the field for a few weeks. A process called retting to allow it to start composting down.
Mad, that, isn't it?
It's just a
You
mad.
wouldn't think they'd do that, would you?
No. But it's and then they go on to try it. It's basically broken down by bacteria, and then they can start to make all the wonderful things that they make, like hempcrete and hemp bricks. If you built your whole, this is interest you, Barry. If you built your whole house out of hemp bricks, then you would need very little warming. If you had a few people in the house, the human body would produce enough heat to keep your house warm because it's such an insulating material.
Yeah.
So it's one of them, isn't it? You wouldn't be using
I'd be in a
Kingspan.
greenhouse then, wouldn't I?
You would.
I'd be in a greenhouse.
But yeah, very good article, and I'm going to give a shout out. Nico said, if you fancy supporting UK hemp farmers, visit eastyorkshirehemp.co.uk, and that was written by Nico Hill, who's a self-proclaimed hydro nerd at infinitemonkey.com. Nice article. Thank you very much for that, Nico.
Yeah, he's a funny writer too, you know. You definitely get Nico's
personality,
character in his writing.
Yeah, definitely. You've got, to be fair, you do have a good mix of writers in garden culture because you've got a nice blend of pure science, a mix of science, and you've got some writers that make science easy to understand, and then you've got a little bit of comedy as well, which is you're appealing to quite a few listeners, aren't you?
You know what? That's mostly in the British one.
Yeah. What's the? Because obviously you know that the US is our biggest subscribers on this podcast, followed by the UK and Australia. You've now just done some amazing work in Australia in terms of the magazine. How many editions are in Australia now each year?
We're doing 6 now, also in Australia. So we do the UK, and then we do them right after each other. So yeah, 6 each for all 3 markets.
Nice, and the same for the US as well. Yeah, 6 a year.
Yeah, I do as a Canada US, like a North American version, but yeah, I do that one also.
Lovely. So, what was the? You've just been to an Australian event as well. What was that like?
HHI, it was amazing. It's the hemp health and innovation. So again, it's a hemp-based show.
Yeah.
And you have some interesting laws in Australia for medical cannabis and hemp. So there's CBD medicines available mainly, and they're derived from hemp mainly.
Yeah.
And then there's also it's starting to be grown for fiber and fuel and seeds and oil and food, and so there's a lot going on there. And the show wasn't huge, but Sydney is huge, so the footfall was, because it's not a big show, and maybe just under plus, I don't know, 8,000 people, 10,000 people. So
that's good.
I thought it was a lot of people, you know.
Well, what was Spannabis this year? It was around 18,000.
30. Yeah,
was
30.
It?
Every year, 30.
Yeah.
30,000?
I think it was, this year was a lot bigger than last year.
I thought it was
not
around
a lot bigger, but a little bit.
Yeah,
I think they got
no, this year's Spannabis was
this year
twice as much,
Spannabis I'd say was twice as busy.
I've been to all of them.
Yeah, this year's Spannabis, like, we need to get figures out here, Eric, because this year's
They
Spannabis...
put more stuff outside, so there's less space, and they have the same amount of people, which makes it seem busier. And I believe, no
even
offense,
the footfall,
I love
I'd say,
it, but they're just trying to make it seem busier so they can sell it for more.
Maybe they could lie
they're trying
about
to sell
their
it, right?
figures,
They're in negotiations.
Yeah, we're there with our media team every year, and they came back to me and was like, we can't even move this year. The queues were out the door. The drone footage was amazing because the queues were right around the street.
I thought it was
but it's huge. It's massive.
Yeah. And but you enjoyed Australia, yeah?
I loved it. Yeah, I love Australia. I like the people. I like the weather, and the market's fun.
What's your next trade show?
I just got back on Sunday night, so I was just at the Lift show in Toronto on the weekend. I was there for Wednesday, so like Thursday to Sunday. There's the Lift show.
Yeah,
in Toronto,
guess who's going next year?
You,
yes.
Canada's largest cannabis event, and it was really good. It's a lot like the baby MJ Biz that's in Vegas, because it's very proper. The booths are beautiful. Like, people definitely put money into their booths. So as you walk around, it's like, wow, it's nice. And and a lot of people in suits. And I must say, there's a lot of investment money. It's not the warm, fuzzy feeling I had in Australia, that community feeling where a lot of the stores and the manufacturers know each other, and they all hang out, like in the UK, like an AutoPot event, or these events where it's warm and fuzzy and everyone has fun, like community, you know. That's gone. That's gone in Canada. That's gone in the US, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe just on the Canada side, there's like a new awesome community that's huge and fractured a little bit,
just a little bit less
geography. So the people in California won't be as close to the people in Colorado, and never mind people in Maine, or, you know. But it's still awesome. Don't get me wrong. But the show in Australia was just smaller. So, you know, the party industry, like an event party after, and everybody went. And,
well, big shout out
what's
to all of our Australian
What's your favourite show, though, Eric?
listeners.
What's your favourite one that you get excited?
Well, Barcelona, for sure. Spanabiz is the one that I kind of look forward to the most.
Yeah.
You know, I love Spanabiz because it's Barcelona. AutoPot, I really like.
Yes, that was the one I was looking for. Was digging for that.
The dice are always in the air until the weather is nice.
Yeah.
You know, like I reserve my opinion because if it rains and it's cold. Like I'll say, first year was like the most fun. I loved it. I'd been to a million trade shows and I loved AutoPot.
Yeah.
And then the next one, although I really liked it, it was cold and rainy. Well, you know, we were miserable at night. It was fucking 7 degrees and raining, and the party ended at midnight. Okay, what do? Go in your bell tent? So don't get me wrong, love AutoPot. But I said, if the weather goes sideways, what are you going to do?
Oh, well, we've got the perfect plan for this year.
Yeah, we
don't tell them.
Hide in a tent and drink beer. It's okay.
We've got better than a tent this year.
Fun.
We've got better than a tent this year.
You can come and chill with us on our
good.
stand.
I'm crashing in whatever you got.
It's awesome because we've got two areas. We've got just inside the tent, and there's something going on there. So if it's raining and pissing down, then our booth will be chock-a-block. And then just outside the tent, we're bringing something that we've recently acquired that will grab everybody's attention. But we're not going to release details until close to the time.
Can't wait.
So,
you can tell me when we get off the phone.
We will. I will. So the next article.
So anyway, that's it. I like Spanabiz. I like Prague. I like MJ Biz in Vegas, and I like Lift in Toronto, and I like AutoPot. Those are my.
Barry doesn't know yet, but he's coming to Toronto with me next year as well. The Lift Festival. Yeah. So,
where are we going this year?
You'll like it.
We're going to Vegas this year, Barry.
To Vegas. Eric's in Vegas.
Vegas in November.
Vegas. Eric, I keep telling you this. Vegas in December. Move forward this year.
December, right? It's always been November. It's the first time they put in December. Yeah, I keep getting it wrong.
Pain in the backside, closer to Christmas, but there you go.
Isn't Vegas one of the biggest?
The biggest.
It is the biggest, yeah. But it's a really business. Like, you better bring your suit. You know?
Yeah, Barry, get your suit out.
Not really. I mean, you don't wear a suit per se. It's very suity.
So let's move on to another article. We're gonna have to probably get through some of these because. Being on the phone with you. Yeah, being on the phone with you.
I know,
can
you
take
told
hours.
me to talk. Can you tell me to talk less? I'll talk less. You told me to
we want the real Eric.
I'm doing it on purpose.
We want the real Eric. So we need
we could just go now and just leave Eric.
Yeah, we could just, Eric, tell everyone about Living Soil. We'll be back in 20 minutes.
Well, I don't even have to, you don't even have to talk about it, just to know that it was written by Gareth Hopcroft and his, I don't say partner, a guy who works with him, Ben. So Gareth has been around in the UK market forever. When he started writing with me, I can tell you I was very, very happy. I love this guy. I have a huge amount of respect for him. He knows his stuff. You know, I mean, his product lines and everything he's done for the organic market in which is the Eco Thrive line. In case anyone doesn't know who Gareth is, but Eco Thrive, if you're in the UK, you know what that is.
And Charge, the insect poo the charge that you put into the cocoa.
Yeah. And so Gareth has been, I think, really pushing in the UK for the part of the organic movement and getting people to feel more comfortable with growing organic and creative products to help them have success, so that they can see that 100%. It actually works. So he wrote this as a second part to a Living Soil that we started last edition, and it's great. So if you're interested in organic gardening. And understand that it's not like using mineral salt. In other words, that's balanced. That is what it's on the recipe. It's supposed to be, but organic can be anything. Depends what you put in there. So in here, he gives us what I like is applied organics in the sense that it gives you mixes. It gives you ideas.
I've highlighted some mixes actually. So I've highlighted some bits because this article actually took me an hour and a half to. Obviously, I was being disturbed by Barry and the team and customers. So it took me about an hour and a half to get through. It's a long article. I've highlighted some bits. I thought the podcast listeners, if you're interested, then you will dig out. You'll go to your local shop. You'll pick up the Fungi Green edition of Garden Culture and dig a bit deeper, which is actually the title of his article.
Not in your case.
Not in my case, no. So a living soil. So Gareth starts here. A living soil mix is quite different from standard potting soil because standard potting soil is just really a blend of peat, perlite, and synthetic or organic based fertilizer, which is only designed to last a few weeks, depending on which one you get. The ingredients for standard potting soil are selected based on cost and to allow smooth production process without any real concern for the quality of inputs. However, living soil may use peat and perlite as well, but the critical ingredient is the high percentage of quality compost. And then he basically goes on to discuss vermicompost, the importance of aeration, how we don't really need to EC or pH in a living soil because the bacteria does it all. He also, like you say, Eric, tells you about how to start building your own living organic soil, which is the best. What's the word? It's not just an article on why is living organic soil really good? And people go, oh, yeah, that was interesting. And then they forget. It actually gives you methods of how to build your own. Yeah. So it says, when building your living soil, an excellent ratio to start with is a third compost, a third aeration, by which he means perlite or volcanic rock dust, and a third peat or cocoa. And then you tweak it depending on how much water holding capacity that you want. He also says that it's essential to use amendments that break down different speeds. So fast release, so the plants got food sources readily available. Medium release for the medium to long term, and a long term release so that you've got something at the end. And these are things like kelp, which is seaweed, crustacean and neem meal, rock dust, limestone, and things like gypsum. And then you've also got fish meal, alfalfa, comfrey, nettle, and insect frost, which is actually Gareth's speciality because the insect frost is what charges. Yeah. So
you didn't mention biochar anywhere. I'd throw biochar into any organic recipe.
It probably is in there somewhere. I've just highlighted some of the key points, and he's also
I might have missed it too.
Yeah, he's also got pictures of building a living soil and what it takes. So he's got your cocoa, then he's added things like that looks like perlite, and then he's added all the extra stuff. He's got a basic recipe in there for building your own living soil. And then talks about the microbes and the benefits of microbes and how hot it can get. Towards the end of the article, he talks about how living soil growers can often cultivate with a cover crop, such as clover, peas, buckwheat. And these plants grow really quickly, help fix nitrogen out of the soil and out of the air. And then once they're pushed down, they're broken down back into the soil, help with the continued growth of mycorrhizal fungi. And then goes on about compost teas. It's a part 2, but it's a really in-depth, very good overall look at how to build your own living soil. And at the very end of the article, he goes on to talk about how to water living soil, which is really important. You can over and underwater it, and basically saying you need to keep it moist. So even when you've watered, every day just go back with a little hose and just spray the top just to help keep the bacteria living and moving properly. Really, really good article. And I enjoyed it because it pushed me a little bit. Obviously, I love articles. I love reading. And this one got me thinking, got me interested. There's a lot of stuff I've got to go and do further research with. So well done to Gareth from EcoThrive and his partner, Ben. Really good article. Enjoyed that. Anything to add? Because I know that you do your whole outside organic garden. You do your whole garden outside in organics, don't you, Eric?
Yeah, I'll add maybe sometime. I'm not purist, so it's not like I don't care to add something, but I do it in principle. Like I like to do it organic, but sometimes if I want to add something non-organic or something that's in a foliar, but typically the soil's all organic. I just built it up this weekend. I think we were talking about it. Where I had a big long list too, and but yeah, it's organic.
It's funny you said that.
And I won't use salt-based fertilizers.
Yeah, huh? It's funny you've said that you're not a purist, but the next edition, actually, the next article by Grubby Cup talks about organic to synthetic and the shades in between, and he actually says that completely organic. There's really no such thing.
Plant it and walk away.
Yeah, there's no such thing really as completely organic unless you're in the tropical rainforest, because completely organic means, or in some interpretations, could
even the water you're giving it.
Yeah. I don't agree. Like I like that he wrote that, Like, I like that, what he wrote, but I don't agree with it in the sense, like, you can have a fully organic garden that's not put in the ground in a forest area and walk away and not, you never add anything. I mean, why not? It's like if you live on a farm and you have some manure and you dig up some soil and you make some, and you give it to your plants and you even put it in a pot. Well, still organic, completely organic, just because you take care of it, you're allowed to be Mother Nature. Like, I don't think, but I said, on the most pure side is that you don't touch it. That's ridiculous. Why would you not touch it?
He's saying that you rip up weeds. What else?
Everything. Like he says that what I like in this is because he also finishes that line in saying nature also takes care of drought. Yeah, by killing the plant. But obviously you don't want that. Yeah. Like nature has all the ways of taking care of itself naturally, but you want to be better than nature.
So it leads on to a good
point. You can't be better than nature, but of course you can.
Yeah. Well, that leads on to a good point, and one that me and Barry talk a lot about it especially over the last couple of weeks, with Barry's changing his diet and he's exercising a lot more and he's getting into a lot of the nutrition side of things. A lot of people say if it's not natural, it's not good and all that. And Grubby Cup makes a really good point by saying that competition from weeds can be reduced by pulling and removing unwanted plants. Nature isn't concerned with what plants are desired, merely which plants survive. Yeah. So people say, oh, it's not natural, it's not this, it's not that. Well, nature's a fucking bitch at times. That's what
I'm saying. Hail, right?
Yeah, hail
like
in your
tornadoes. Rain. 2 weeks of rain when when you want your plants to be maturing. No, nature can be the worst.
Yeah,
she's bankrupted, or whoever is bankrupted, or it has bankrupted more farmers than anything else.
Yeah, so it's just, bad weather. It's just funny when people say that.
So we have to be better than it, don't we?
We have to be better than
we have to be Mother Nature, but better. And when we want it.
That's it. It's sunny. Yeah. It's sunny every day, and it never rains in my grow room. But,
until you want it to.
Yeah, selective Mother Nature.
But I do like the sun better than grow lights.
I like that. Selective nature, selective Mother Nature. That's what we.
But anyway, it's a good little piece. Grubby's awesome.
He talks about most of this article. Well, saying most, he starts off by saying about completely organic. That should be a question mark because nobody truly is completely organic. And then he says organic enough. So he goes on to talk about nitrogen and how plants get nitrogen. Something I learned actually, and you'll find this interesting, Barry. Nitrogen fixing. I knew that bacteria do a lot of nitrogen fixing. So Azospirillum or Azobacter, there's a couple of different types of bacteria that will collect nitrogen, N2, from the environment, the atmosphere around us, and convert it to plant usable forms such as nitrates, NO2, NO3, that sort of stuff. Another method though that nature has is by lightning strikes. So the power, lightning when it hits is so hot and so powerful, it will actually. So the reason that nitrogen in the atmosphere is really hard to obtain for plants is that it's in terms of chemistry, it's the letter N with, I think it's a triple bond. It might be a double bond up, but I think it's a triple bond with another N, and that's atmospheric N2 nitrogen. So it's really hard to break apart, and that's why bacteria is super useful in doing that for us. But lightning is so hot and energetic that it can strip apart those bonds, and it goes on to say it allows plants,
nitrous oxide.
Yeah, nitrous oxide, yeah. So they have enough energy to break the bonds between the forming nitrous oxides, exactly. And that's what the plants use. Then it just requires a little bit of rain, which is, obviously, it's inherent with lightning.
Is this just where the lightning strikes?
Yeah. But I don't know how far around.
Yeah. What's the perimeter of where if the lightning struck, is it a perimeter of 10 mile or is it a perimeter of 3 meters?
I don't know. But
do you know what I mean? I'll be chasing lightning storms now.
And I'm looking for the nitrous oxides.
Running round with me pot around Liverpool.
Here's a question for Barry, Eric. And it's a car question.
Uh-oh.
So when cars use nitrous, what is that? Do you know what that is?
It's like kind of fuel, isn't it? It's just a stronger fuel.
A stronger fuel that burns quicker.
Yeah, it's like a gas, burns quicker.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to have to look
at that. But if you put
up.
Nitrous into like a normal car engine, a standard engine,
or to ask what's rocket fuel,
melt it.
Would they?
It just melt it, because they used to I don't know just what the let's say our petrol's diluted by, I don't know, it's 10% petrol. Let's just say it was 10% pure petrol with 90% water. Let's just put it on that scale. And nitrous is probably 80% petrol and 20% water. If you put nitrous into a normal car engine, it'll just melt it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's that hot, it combusts that much and gets that hot. It just melt the engine.
So you have special engines.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with plant growth, but it was just it's interesting. I see it on Fast and Furious all the time. They inject with nitrous.
Yeah.
Have you ever injected with nitrous?
No, I've never injected nothing. Me. I don't know what you take me for.
So he also goes on about back to the article, that certain bacteria can convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia, and those are azoto. How do you say that, Eric? Azotobacter. I don't know.
Where?
Azotobacter,
Where
which
are
lives in
you?
the soil. We're on page 46. Rhizobacteria, which lives in root nodules of certain plants such as legumes, and Trichodesmium, which lives in the sea. So bacteria do the same job as lightning storms. And living plants and animals contain nitrogen.
How do we get a lightning storm in an indoor grow room?
Ooh, Corona discharge.
Corona discharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric.
That's
I was expecting a fucking silence then for at least a minute. Eric just come right back.
I don't think Eric's ever been silent for over a minute unless he's.
You guys have been talking the whole time. This is radio.
I forgot what I was doing here a minute ago.
In real life, I'll talk over you, no problem. I don't care.
I know that.
Myself,
I know that.
You're being very well behaved today, Eric.
Yeah, the listener, you know.
But really good article by Grubby Cup. He goes on about synthetic nitrogen, completely synthetic. Wind, rain, temperature, nutrients, atmosphere, and lighting can be all supplied synthetically. And with enough equipment, plants can even be grown off the plant in a completely artificial environment using no natural resources at all. But the end of the article,
which is most indoor grow rooms.
Yeah, it is. And
think about it.
Except with there's a bit of air in, isn't there? And there's a bit of air out. You'd be a
bit. We bring it in artificially. It's not wind. We make it with fans. Yeah. So that's what he means. Everything is done artificially.
Yeah. And he finishes off by saying
no wind in a grow room. If you don't turn a fan on, there's no wind.
There's a bit of wind in Barry's grow room recently. He's been on the protein shakes.
Oh, there is. But again, I think I'm not sure if that's a balance.
Is that classed as synthetic or natural?
Do we have to talk about me?
I told you we would.
Natural.
And he rounds off the article by talking about balance. Most gardens are somewhere between the two extremes. A garden that relies on biological helpers to grow plants tends to be on the organic side. Less control, but more assistance, and generally a larger margin for error, which I completely agree with. I've always said that bacteria are your insurance policy. So sometimes if you had a perfect mineral grow and a perfect organic grow, you might not be able to notice too many differences, but the organic grow is less likely to run into problems.
Was that a yawn?
You said perfect. So if it's perfect, they're perfect, and I believe the plants would be almost identical because they're perfect. So the plant has a genetic maximum. Just like no matter how much Barry goes to the gym, he's never going to get any taller.
Oh fuck! I'm going now. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, it won't matter.
You've just ruined me goal.
And now he can be bigger, but even at that, there's a limit to how,
I've always said that.
And then, so if you put in your PGRs or some weird hormones at a different time to force the plant to do something unnatural, then the synthetics will win. But if you just let the plant run its course, I think, I could be wrong, this is my opinion, but they'll be almost identical. The plant will take everything it can and be growing as big and fast, and now terpene profiles and or flavor, if it's a tomato or food or whatever, roses and flowers that smell will be different. I think they could be different.
Yeah.
But if in the synthetic you're throwing some seaweed in there, something that has a lot of different trace elements or fulvic acid or stuff like that, then I think they'll be pretty similar.
I think the same. But I also think though that in a biological garden, then I talk about it like your insurance policy. When you start to use biologicals, your plants have that insurance policy. And I've proved it to myself when I've done 2 tents in our shop, and we used one with bacteria. We just used mineral on the other. One Sunday they weren't watered. They came back on the Monday morning, and the mineral plants were suffering from wilt. The plants that were still being fed mineral but had bacteria weren't wilting, and so they survived a little bit longer. They were a little bit better. So I'm sold on using nature and bacteria, even in a mineral garden where most people say it's not needed. I still think it's a good insurance policy.
Well, I think back to being perfect. I think it's easier to be perfect with synthetics.
Yeah.
And because you just got to follow a recipe, and you have to do everything right. It's still most people don't, but including myself.
Yeah.
But the organics, once you dial it in, might be a little bit easier because you don't have as many inputs to put in every time you water. In fact, if you really got it right, you're just putting water, maybe a little bit of molasses. I don't know what else people might put, but
I think people are getting more interested in organics and biologicals as we get older, and as the industry becomes bigger and better as well. I think a lot more people are going to start looking into organic growing.
Yeah, I think so. It's happening. It is happening.
It is. I think it's just because
more people are looking right now.
It just requires a bit more thinking. Minerals is easy. Organics a little bit harder. It just requires a little bit more brain power. Yeah, easier. So, moving on from Grubby Cup, plantain. We're not going to spend.
Plantain.
I'm not going to.
How excited did he get?
I was going to say.
When I talked to, wasn't it you? I was talking the other day, you're like, plantain. I don't know about that plant. You thought it was like the banana. I'm like, I'm not talking about bananas. The plantain, the weed on the ground. You're like, that was you, right?
To be fair, it wasn't me you were talking about that too, but there's a variety of banana called the plantain, isn't there?
Yeah, of course. So I know they fry them; they're delicious. But this is the weed. Anyway, this stuff grows everywhere. Like where I am up here, or Florida, you guys, this stuff's, and it's one of the most used medical plants in history. Especially for stings and bites and scrapes and things that happen when you're camping. Yeah. You know, like this is a really amazing weed, and you can use it in your you do the fresh compost with like comfrey and stuff, and you just mix it in water. This stuff you can use it too. But it's really good for you.
I am a big fan.
You can make teas out of it and drink it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using like traditional plant house weeds and breaking them down.
And they're mega hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they grow in between the pavement stones. And so you don't pull it, just cut it and dry it and keep it and use it. And it's awesome. And read this article.
I've read it. It's a good article by Caroline.
Not you. I mean, everyone who's listening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah. But Caroline wrote this article, and it's a really good article. I'm just going to read out a quote from it. That plantain can be your first line of defense against insect stings and bites, scratches, first-degree sunburns, minor wounds, poison ivy, or itchy, irritated skin.
That's very important for the British readers.
Yeah, like the dock leaf. Remember the dock leaf?
Sunburns.
Yes.
Hangovers. It's good for everything.
There's a lot of how-tos in this article. So how to make your own medicine and how to make your own teas, how to make them so that you can refeed them back to your plants. If you're interested,
how to chew it in your mouth and then just shove it on your sunburn.
Is that what you're supposed to do? Break it down a little bit with the saliva.
Yep. Chew it up and then stick it on your whatever. What ails you? I'm like, really? I'm going to start trying that.
But good article, definitely worth a read if you're into that sort of stuff. And moving on to an article by Rich Hamilton, The Foliar Frontier. Give your plants the edge. Now, again, there's some really good points.
Cool picture.
Yeah, very nice, actually. Very nice. It reminds me of Star Wars, The Foliar Frontier. It should remind me of Star Trek. That's what you're going for, isn't it? The Foliar Frontier.
I didn't.
I like the picture, though. Look, you're on
I give all my graphic artist gets all the... He's just not
he
me.
gets all the credit. Who came up with the title name? The Foliar Frontier. Eric.
Me or Rich? I guess Rich, because I don't remember saying it myself. So I think that's all Rich.
Oh, good effort, Rich. Good effort. Good title. I like it. And he
likes to give me articles like fully done. You know, like in a sense, like he likes putting the titles and having a title and the bylines and little things.
So
I like that. Roots are leaves in the ground. And leaves are roots in the air. Yeah,
that's what he's
I'm going to try to read about foliar all the time, too. Like, I'm a big foliar advocate. I don't think most people take advantage of it. So I'll repeat myself in the coming, not right away, but you know what I mean, in the coming editions, because it's something that people really, if they don't do it, like, especially in veg, like some seaweed even, works.
You know, when you do your next garden culture hydro survey, I'd be really interested.
Soon, I'm going to start soon. And yes, anyone who's listening, stores or through the NPK guys, if you want to get on the list, just either send your names to Steve, call me, email me, whatever. We're going to try to put the list together earlier, and I want to make it more stores and new stores. So last year, the two I did, they were a little bit different one from another. The stores I called, like there was some, because, but I didn't know these. I only knew about maybe 10% of them personally, and the rest maybe I've met, but I don't know them, So this time I want to do more. So I want to make sure that the sample's bigger, it's a bit different. It may give, it may give completely different results. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I never know what people are going to say, but the two are really similar.
Yeah,
so,
trends change, and trends change, and fashion changes. So we might have completely
and also if the sample set is bigger, maybe slightly different, that could also have an impact.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Rich Hamilton talks about foliar feeding, and he goes on to say
how'd
that
you get on
the prano, because I was saying about when we next do the survey, that it would be good to ask, do you foliar feed?
And do you foliar feed? Yeah, good
I'd
question.
genuinely be interested to find out.
Yeah, me too.
What the shop owners do.
I'll remember. Go on.
Rich goes on to say about the foliar feeding being so beneficial because the processed fast tracks nutrients, allowing them to bypass the root vascular system, and can be between 100 and 900 times more effective than feeding through the roots alone. I've done similar research actually I've looked up similar research and found that to be true as well.
Nice.
Well, so he said the type of things to foliar feed with: fulvic acid, beneficial fertilizer, essential building block to all carbon-based life on Earth.
Huge.
Created by microbes. So using a fulvic acid to foliar feed. Kelp seaweed.
I use myself. I do seaweed and veg in the foliar feed for into the third week. Let's say of a flowering plant, and if it's like a perennial green, I just use seaweed all the time, or even both. But for flowering plants, I like the fulvic I've used into the flowering, like not far in, but and for any plant, it doesn't matter, like anything. Seaweed and fulvic, anything.
Yeah. But even if you foliar fed with just water in veg, it'll help. Never mind with all kinds of nutrients.
Just cleaning them off.
Yeah. He says kelp seaweed, soil-based organism, produces and releases enzymes. It has over 70 minerals, vitamins, macro and micronutrients. So kelp seaweed is phenomenal. I think more people should be root drenching and definitely foliar feeding with some sort of kelp. Cold pressed kelp, I believe, to be the better type of kelp seaweed. So make sure you look on the bottle and look for the cold pressed kelp rather than the
normally light green cold pressed stuff. I know GHE has a really good one. I don't want to go against anyone else. I just know that light green. Yeah. It's in the organic line.
One of the best selling ones in our shop is it's from Ascophyllum nodosum, that type of seaweed. It's by Bloom, and that does really well in our shop. The yellow bottles Bloom. So is it
light green, the seaweed, or is it dark?
Yeah, it's quite light green. It's light to dark green. Yeah, but it's a favourite in our shop for kelp seaweed. And he basically goes on about the research of foliar feed and the benefits of it. We've spoken about it a lot in the past on the show, and it's definitely something that growers should be thinking about. 100% in veg, you should be foliar feeding. And here's the big one: if you have a deficiency when you're in veg or early stages of flower, you can fix it quicker with a foliar fed application rather than increase it.
Also diagnose. It's not bad because if you do a light foliar feed that would normally fix let's say a nitrogen deficiency or CalMag, or you're putting something in, well, not really for foliar, but anyway, and then you're spraying it and then it looks not better after, then you may have a toxicity, and you haven't had to add something to the to your pot or to whatever to try to fix it. Because if you already put something, you have a toxicity, now you're putting more. Now look, I'm going to flush this thing brutal. Like I'm going to have lots of water flush out the bottom. I'll measure my EC and my pH as it flushes out, because you could have a pH or an EC problem. You don't know. So you check your raw water going in, check your water coming out, and that's how you diagnose. But foliar is a good start, although you might not want to flush if you're deficient. So you start with the foliar.
Exactly. And a lot of people still to this day love to I won't say overfeed, overwater. So when you overwater, how can you, and the plants get a deficiency, it tends to be nitrogen deficiency in veg. How can you fix a nitrogen deficiency in veg when you've already overwatered?
Foliar feed and leave it to dry.
There you go. So there's still things that
Foliar.
you can do when you've overfed, overwatered. You can still get the plant to crack on with a good foliar feed. So there's literally no downsides. Eric, what's your favourite off-the-shelf foliar feed?
Off the shelf, I'd go with optic foliar. They only have two. Like I've started to use transport. That's what I was introduced to optic foliar because it's one of those add it to whatever to spray with your lights on.
Yeah.
And you can spray with your lights on. So you and I've talked about. So my favorite was always just been seaweed. I guess like seaweed or fulvic acid. And then he sent me his overgrown, which is I think it's 3 of his products in one.
Yeah.
And they work like I've many times that I've used that product and come 2 days later, I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, wow, I see, you know, deficiencies, like when I fix something.
It is. It's one of the top selling. It is the top selling foliar feed in our shop. I'll go with it. It is good. It is also my top
and
foliar
then actually
feed.
super cool. Like I like the guy.
Oh, he's the best. Yeah, he always gives me. Get on this, Eric. He's given me more Canadian maple syrup than you have.
Yeah. He sends it to me.
Yeah, but he gives it because of me, dude. What the hell? Steven, I thought you would have figured this one out by now. Anyway, yes, I know you get the maple syrup, but then that's your fault.
You're the original maple syrup producer.
I'm teaching. Well, no, I think a lot of Canadians bring maple syrup as a gift when we travel because it's amazing and everyone's really happy to get it.
Well,
and,
just so you know, Eric, we're running out.
Barry loves to splash it on his breakfast.
I'm coming in August for 3 weeks, so I'll bring
lots
tons
of
the stuff.
Lots of it. Increase your baggage capacity at the airport because
I'm bringing another check bag full. I've done that before. I traveled to the US with an entire bag filled with maple syrup.
Did you really just to give out?
Yeah, when I went, I had like a 2-week road trip. I was seeing stores, and I didn't know anyone, so I wanted them to like me, whatever, like buy my stuff. So yeah, I went around giving out maple syrup, and it worked. Whatever. Like I said, people love it. I was just in Australia, right? And I gave Zach from Dome, this guy from Dome, really nice guy. And he gets it. He goes, "Oh wow, thanks." He goes, I've never tried it before. And of course, the Quebecer, you look at them like it's like someone saying they've never had a glass of water. Like I only drink juice. I've never tried water. Like, anyway, so he's never tried maple syrup. I'm like, wow. So I made him try some right in front of me. Like, drink some now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, he loved it. And then of course he started wanting to work with us more because of the maple syrup. Of course he did,
because the maple syrup was doused with things probably to allow him to bend to your will, and he probably bought lots of things.
Right. I spiked the maple syrup.
Right.
But anyway, maple syrup. There you go. On. She's awesome. Optic foliar, fantastic product.
If I had to just finishing off foliar feed, I would say that the foliar feed by Moonshine is really good as well. Optic foliar.
The Moonshine stuff. I've used it. Brilliant. I like it. That's true.
Moving on.
I tend to think more about my advertisers, but yes, the Moonshine products are. I mean, it's my own bias, but the Moonshine is really, really good product.
I do like whole.
Sure, I like it, and I like the one that goes in the soup. I've used both and had success with both, and been impressed. So, yeah.
Oh, that goes in the soup.
And there's tons more, right? They're all good. I like you say, if you're making one out of seaweed and whatever, it's going to be good.
Yeah,
brands aside, but why I bring up and the Moonshine, it's relevant, and the optic foliar is relevant because they're both unique.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not seaweed in a bottle. I mean, Paul may have some in the bottle. I don't know, but that's not what makes it. It's not its big. What makes it special? There's something weird and wonderful. I think it's natural, but still different. And the optic foliar even more so. Like, what transport? What the hell is that? How can a product make you spray with your lights on? So,
it's incredible stuff. If you haven't used it, get to your shop. Use some Overgrow. Phenomenal product. And spray with the lights on.
Stephen, I think the NPK stores have samples available. If they not just ask for samples, they'll give you some.
Yeah, we can do that for our customers. So moving on, it's the next article is by Dr. Callie Seaman, and she wrote on medicinal cannabis in the UK, an ever-changing landscape. Now, we have done podcasts on this in the past. We will do another one in the future as laws change and news articles come out. I do want to say that Job has done an absolutely phenomenal job.
Of the cliffs
oh my God.
The cliffs
when
of
I first saw that, I almost wished that I had put that on the cover. Of course, the fungi cover. You didn't talk about the cover, which is fucking awesome. But when I saw that layout he did, even I was like, oh my God, that's so nice.
You know what's good about it? I didn't even notice it the first time I read the article. It blends in that nicely with it just looks like the cliffs of Dover, and then these
I just
blended in
noticed
the
it
leaf.
immediately.
It's awesome. So we're not going to spend too much time on this article because we will do a whole podcast on it. I think Callie, with a little bit of coercion, might be on the podcast in the next few months.
I think she would. I think she would. For the subject.
She'd be a lovely lady to get onto the podcast, very knowledgeable. But she basically, you want to read this article because she talks about the World Health Organization, which is called WHO, recommending that cannabis be rescheduled with international law, and that the UK is no longer ignoring the potential of the plant for medicinal purposes. It talks about tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, and cannabinol, CBD. About what they do in the body, the terpenes, the flavonoids. She talks about the synthetic ones on the market, like dronabinol.
It discusses that there's 144 different cannabinoids and counting.
Yeah, it's impossible to isolate one or two and think it's going to have the same benefit as whole plant.
God.
You got to use them all together. And it's going to take years and years and years to do research and trials on all the individuals. I think we should just go straight in. Whole plant material, make it available widely for UK people who need it, and then do the research and crack on. But it's a shame that it's been in inverted commas, it's legal now, but so few people have got access to it. Whilst on the market, there's dronabinol, nabalone, with what are the other ones? Epidiolex. There's all these single component ones that are doing good work, I believe, but it's still not like the whole plant. And what I love about Callie's articles is the amount of sources. Similar to myself, it's not an opinion piece. There's 8 references in there. So if you want to go and do deep research, there's 8 references you can go and read and do further research from there as well. So brilliant article. And it's nice that we're being able to now put these in UK editions of Garden Culture.
It's important, when I think give the world a couple years to really do some research, and there's not a government that will be able to argue with medical cannabis.
Yeah, 100%.
You can have all the feelings you want on the recreational side, and I could even say I could agree with both sides, although I have quite strong opinion on one side. But when you look at the medical side, and as evidence and more evidence just keeps coming out, and they haven't even at the tip of the iceberg for research, right? They haven't been allowed. So, and they already got this far with so many, interest groups trying to block it. It's coming for the whole world. And similar like the hemp article, we want to talk about medical cannabis. I don't want to talk about recreational cannabis in the sense that I don't think this magazine should even have an opinion on it. Yeah. If you know what I mean, in the sense that this is international news and again, the most important plant in the world.
Yeah, I
medically
agree.
And environmentally.
It's a shame that we're not allowed to talk about it on the podcast. I can't wait for the day. I went to Switzerland in the beginning of May, and it was just phenomenal to be able to see for the first time that plant being grown. And
it was planted in Toronto.
Yeah, I know, and you're very lucky. Can't wait to come to Toronto and see your plants. But seeing them, I've read all about them. I've YouTubed all about the plants. I've heard all about them, and being able to see them with your own eyes was breathtaking. And it was just phenomenal experience. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the day that we're allowed to play about with the plants in the UK. I just hope it comes sooner rather than later. But the big benefit,
it's coming.
The big benefit from that Callie mentioned at the end of that article is that it's true we should have more people that genuinely need it to have access to it. But the second biggest benefit is that now that it has been legalised, medicinal CBD, that researchers now are going to have funding. So there'll be a lot of funding available for researchers and scientists to be able to look into the plant, and hopefully that'll sway the government and sway UK opinion to make it legal in more senses. Moving on,
too.
Barry, you had a little mooch over this one, didn't you? This was by Catherine Sheriff's Veganic Agriculture. It was an interview with Bionova's Eric van Vlimmeren. Well,
we did it, yeah. I wanted to do an article on veganics in general, which is a movement that started in the 70s, and of course started probably 2,000 years ago, but as the word. And then Eric's a friend of mine and someone who's, very passionate And we were at one trade show, and he was talking to me about when he was going to be launching this veganics thing, and just everything behind it. You know, I find it didn't even come across his passion in the article enough, because he's really, really into this.
Oh no,
and this is
I
how
read
the article
it.
got constructed.
I read it, and you can just by reading it, you can tell he's full of
It's
passion.
more though. You know, he really, really cares. It's interesting. I mean, he's a really great guy, and so this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. We've never had a interview of somebody in our industry before.
Yeah,
ever.
That's true.
I can see his passion from his
29 editions.
article, though. When I read it, I thought, yeah, he's like passionate about this, and this fella, even down to his own grow room. He's even like everything right down to like even looking after the planet. He's changed this full lighting system now to LEDs, which he reckons the cost he'll recoup over. What is it?
Yeah,
recoup over 4 years. It'll take him to get the money back for it, what he's actually laid out on that, and just everything. He seems like a proper genuine person. Like he does.
Yeah. And he's also big in back to the cannabis, but into the clean medical,
clean,
and that
clean
medical
and pure.
And
but he's right in what he's saying, though. In the world that we live in now, and everyone is jumping on clean food, organic food, this food will. He's right in what he's saying, but why wouldn't you have clean CBD? Why wouldn't you have clean cannabis plants to create?
Well, even more so for medicine.
Pure and medicine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like he's saying, if you put CBD into your, or you do smoke it, or whatever you do with it, then it's going into your bloodstream. Yeah. So why wouldn't you want the purest, cleanest in your blood? You wouldn't let someone else put something dirty in you, would you? So it's the same, man. I like it.
And also for all gardening, that the cradle to grave idea is that the creation of the fertilizers and the waste that's created from the garden, that's all zero. Like that's what they want. That
he heats his grow room with all the waste matter.
Does he?
Yeah.
Listen, this kid's on fire. Honestly, he is.
So is it
like changed his LEDs? Is a costly investment, but he'll recoup within 4 years.
So what does he use? Like composting?
I just use LEDs. They're great.
Yeah. How are you getting on with your LEDs, Eric?
I've finished. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Super impressed.
Which ones did you use?
What one? Just funny. I would say they all were really similar, but all really good. Yeah. So I used SANlight, which was super happy. Like, I don't know one's the best. It's hard to say.
SANlight, they're the best.
Next light. Yeah, no, honest. And if I were to be a show with the fruit or the flowers, and then you say, okay, well, which ones do you think were grown with different lights? Like, you wouldn't know. They all kind of look the same. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was really uniform.
What lights did you use, Eric? SANlight.
Next light, SANlight. The next light, mega. So it's like it's just like a flood of the white light. So this big. It has a very nice cover. So it's very. You don't have to guess whether your plant's getting light when it's under it, because it's under like a sheet of light, you know. Yeah. And then SANlight, which I liked. I like the angles it threw the light on too. When you use multiples, it really has a crossover light, which most LEDs. I won't say most. I don't think there's so many out there now. They're looking at it. And then one called Hashcropter, like hashtag Cropter out of Germany, which is a new product. I say for sure the fanciest. There's no doubt about it, because it has controllability. You can change spectrum right on it without a controller. Like, it's all right on the thing. And I'm imagining they have a controller to go with it, but
which one was that?
I didn't get one. The Hashcropter.
Oh, the Hashcropter, yeah.
And then the next, I hopefully will be doing a Vici. Which I had, I just didn't have room for it, and that thing's the beast. Like, that's the brightest LED I've ever seen. Revolution there. And then California Lightworks. I'm really interested in the California Lightworks. I've been talking a lot with one of the owners there, Mike Taylor. Yeah. And he's just a really super passionate, really interesting LED guy. Fluence, of course, and I think I was just talking to someone earlier about CO going to Fluence and what that means for Fluence and what that means for LEDs in general.
Oh, massive increases.
Yeah, I agree. He's easily the largest lighting influencer in our market, you know, definitely. Maybe one of the only lighting influencers.
Yeah, well, we're going to get, now that you were the guinea pig for today's phone-in podcast, it opens us up to massive interviews all around the world, and at one point this year, we're probably going to have viewer calling so we can chat with the actual listeners on the podcast.
Next edition's the LED edition. Ooh. I think he might be on the next one.
Oh, we're going to get the
In fact, I can get you all. We get the guys from SANlight. We can get the guys from. We can get them all on.
Can we do multiple calls?
I don't know. We'll have to speak to Josh.
Get rid of one, get one
his
on.
head might explode. But listen, we're not...
Well, Theo's going to write an article. Mike Taylor's going to write an article. The SANlight people already wrote some stuff, so you can get them talking about their own article.
Definitely. Well, listen, we're nowhere near the end of this edition of Garden Culture. I just want to mention some ones. Florian Henrik writes about the phytomicrobiome. That guy's
so cool.
Yeah,
I met him in Spanish. I love this guy.
It sounds like he sounds cool as well because he goes into a lot of detail. Basically, the phytomicrobiome is a complicated word for the community of fungi, bacteria, and destructors that live in the root area of your plants. Very good article. I've read it. It gives you a very good overview of mycorrhizal. Make sure you read it if it catches your interest or if you want to know more. The next article was by Simon Hart. It's just on fungi, a food forest's best friend, and it gives you good breakdowns of what compost is, organic fertilizer, humic acids, wood chips, biochar. Biochar, Eric mentioned before, is persistent carbon that will not break down over time. If you can find it, biochar will outlast every tree in your garden, staying intact for hundreds of years. It's like catnip for mycorrhizae.
I don't feed biology, so it gives the biology something to eat in case,
Nice.
times are tough.
I've read another good article in this as well, Steve, which is detox with fruit and fasting.
Good. Well,
that's just to go back through.
Yeah, that's after Ask a PhD with Colin Bell, who's the co-founder and chief officer of Mammoth Microbes.
He's awesome, and I want to mention to anyone who's listening, and again, something for you to talk on all your podcasts if you feel like throwing it out there. But so they put it out. We can ask questions. They have 7 PhDs on staff, and Colin Bell, who's I think one of the most interesting.
He is the coolest, best guy, one of my favorite people.
Yeah,
in the industry. I love him.
And the hardest working sales rep in the industry right now. Travels the world more than anyone. Works hard. I mean, I think I travel a lot, and then. I bump into him in Australia. I bump into him in Toronto, and then all of a sudden he's in you pick it. Anywhere in the world, he's somewhere else.
Well, the question is,
machine anyway.
The question is on that article: is there a fungal group that is best suited for use in agriculture? Read it. Colin's got the answers. Follow Colin as well. On
it's one page,
Instagram.
But it's going to make you want to know what AM fungus is.
Yeah,
it
will.
You're going to want AM. I never heard of that. I'm going to read it anyway. Detox with fruit. That was just a conversation I was having. Evan is love this guy. I've known him for 15 years in the U.S. He's really, really big advocate for organic and sustainable agriculture. He works in he does a lot of stuff. He also does some work for the state of North Carolina for water security and sustainable agriculture. The guy's amazing. But just on the phone, he goes, we're just talking. He's like, I only eat fruit. And I'm like, what? He goes, and I fast 1 day a week. I'm like, what? You're going to die. Don't do that. And he went on to tell me about it. I'm like, I would maybe try it, although I'm kind of skinny and I don't want to, disappear.
Well, Barry read this
really
article.
Interesting.
What did you think, Barry?
Interesting, man.
The same as Eric. Very interesting. I am going to read it again. No, it blew me head a little bit, to be honest with you. Some big words in there. Yeah,
Evan's smart. But it's, when he explains it all, it's all stuff I've never thought about, never heard of. It's all new in terms of what it means to have a fruit-based diet and why absorbing your water through fruit.
Yeah, he says, doesn't he? If you eat good amounts of fruit, you'll never carry a water.
It's how your body
You'll never carry a water bottle around with you.
It's very simple. If you drink water as your main liquid, your body filters out X. If you drink and eat fruit as your body's main water source, your body filters out X times 5 or whatever. That's my quick layman. So your body works way better to clean out the bad stuff when the water is coming into your body comes from fruit, not vegetables, fruit. Anyway, read it. It's amazing.
Well, there's 2 more articles we're going to have to skip over because it's become a long podcast. One is Tom Forrest.
There's an Adjust the Wings ad. Adjust the Wings. I love Adjust the Wings. There you go. That's my throw up for Adjust the Wings. There's another ad here. Morning Glory. Marketing doesn't have to be hard. NPK Media. What a beautiful ad. It'd make a nice poster. Beautiful.
Did you like that?
Morning Glory. What's Morning Glory? Is that sex? Is that sex in the morning? Morning Glory?
No, it's just an add-on.
Is that a play on words?
Yeah.
Morning Glory is just when you wake up with a big add-on in it.
I wasn't sure in Canada if that's the same thing or not. BudBox. I like those things. What else you got here? Are you out of your jam mind? I love this magazine. Magazine's funny. It's calling me.
Well, Jalal is...
Richard Jones from Creation.
Jalal
Wholesale.
is
Jalal.
skateboarding around the office, and it sounds like a fucking thunderstorm.
He's a big guy.
Big guy. He's about 8 foot now. He stood on there.
He's just nearly gone ask him. That's it.
All right, so we got through the whole magazine. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It's awesome.
You're welcome. Well, listen, Tom Forrest Plant Hormones was a brilliant article. I just didn't have time to go over it on the podcast. Tom Forrest, yeah. And then
Follow that guy on Instagram.
Yeah, and then Nico Hill finished off with Are you out of your damn mind? Korean Natural Farming, KNF. Right, before...
I can tell you something about that quick.
Go.
Nico's been writing these Korean natural farming stuff for ages, and 8 years. Like, I think the first one. And I've been to some of these trade shows in the U.S. last year, and KNF is coming up like this new big thing. For 1,000 years old, you know. But people making their own ferments is something that the top growers in North America are doing right now.
Nice.
And they're realizing that when you do it right and you add it at the right time, it is absolutely rocket fuel.
Nice.
So, like a lactic acid bacteria, LAB. If you look back to the article on how to make LAB, like do it.
Okay.
Because if you do your compost outside, your comfrey and all that, and you add the lactic acid bacteria to it, it'll literally break down all that green matter. You'll have the strongest ferment, like thing to add to your garden you ever did. And be careful, like you can ruin things with the wrong ferment at the wrong time. So, but really interesting stuff. Like that KNF is really, when you want to get into organic gardening next level, that's it. Like that is the
nice.
I think.
Well, listen, that is the edition. At the end of every edition of Garden Culture, me and Barry give an award out. It is just a verbal award. Don't get excited, anyone. For the best
what about me?
advert. Eric, you always get an award every day.
No. I want to do best advert award.
Oh, you can give yours. Me and Barry will give ours.
Go on.
We come on first.
Yeah, go on.
Because we don't want to spoil our one. By a country
like
mile,
that.
I'm not including the NPK Media advert because that is just genius, if you ask me. A little bit biased. But other than ours, the standout advert of this edition was by BioBiz. Find the organic in you, because you'll just see why.
I know which one I like.
You'll see why. It looks very
We
familiar.
both agreed on that, didn't you, when we seen it?
It looks very familiar to the NPK Media business card.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I wonder where they got that idea from.
Sneaky.
But it is a gorgeous advert. I love it.
Yeah.
Which one's yours, Eric?
My favorite bit of art is the medical cannabis that Job did with the Dover. And my favorite ad is the hydrologic ad. My hydrologic ad with the phone.
Yeah.
And it says, "Dude, my plants are scorched again." You know, it's just like a conversation. It's because he doesn't filter his water, and I just like it's a bit, maybe the California language could be a little, but yeah, I like it. It's it's different. It's
Cool. Well, Josh is
sell water
shouting.
filters. I don't know.
Josh is shouting at me. His phone battery is on 1%, Eric. We are going to
Perfect.
That's
go.
standard for
Right.
Eric, that.
So, Eric, thank you.
Oh, and the cover was designed. Every one of those mushrooms was drawn by
Hand-drawn.
hand in a larger format
Nice.
by Nicholas. So look at the bottom, Nicholas DiGenova. Like, look up his art. He is one of the trippiest artists you'll ever see.
Nice.
Ever. He's amazing. So there you go. Bye, everyone.
Everyone. Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you,
for
Eric.
joining us for this podcast.
Oh, it was awesome. I'll do it whenever you want me to.
Yeah, man.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Except for on Wednesdays.
Oh.
Prick. Right, Josh, thank you very much,
A
Eric.
little comedy at the end. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, boys.
See
Yeah,
you soon,
man.
Eric.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon, Eric. Take care.
All right. Bye.
There we go. Eric's gone. Right. Thank you very much for everyone listening.
Yeah, man.
Pick up your local garden culture magazine from your shop, from your nearest shop. Really good about organics and fungi and microbacteria.
Life under the surface.
Brilliant edition. So,
Yeah, man.
brilliant. Right, we're going to leave it there. Everyone that's listening, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at NPK_hydroponics and see what we get up to through the week. See you all next Sunday. Bye-bye.